let's get over to the Dirty Dogs. Like I've said, probably my favorite segment that we've been doing because we've been on a heater. What is the Dirty Dogs? It's a segment where CD and I take two underdogs each to win straight up. So what's the caveat? Okay, sure. You can just pick an underdog. Anyone can do that. 10-point underdogs.
Or
Yeah.
more, baby, or
Or
more.
more. That is the yeah. There are some mores on here for sure. That's the threshold here that we're playing with. On the season, we are 8-24 on the season. Picking straight winners. If you don't know, that's 25%. That's kind of nuclear. I think the implied probability of like a plus 300 game is 25%. We've been picking, games that are even more. Like, we've been doing really well, okay? If you were to follow us and just bet those straight up, you'd be up well over 7 units right now. So,
which we don't advise.
Kind of crazy.
This is strictly for fun. It's also a good test. Do it along with us, right? Like, find some vibes, find some scenarios where it's like
schedule dynamics.
Really look into these matchups and find certain areas that maybe Vegas can't just power rate this game a lot closer because they want even money on both sides. But maybe you see an edge here, a team struggling, backup quarterback, whatever it may be, schedule dynamics. It's a lot of fun. We've been having a blast with it. We hope you guys are having just as much fun too.
Because like a lot of people just like love doing their money line parlays, like minus 480, minus 480, minus 510. No,
these will screw you.
You got to be careful. You have to be careful in college football. And look, we both hit our we both each hit a dirty dog. So 2 of our 4 last week, which is nuts, by the way. But you hit the smellier one. New Mexico State plus 360. I only hit Old Dominion plus 300. So that means you're going to get the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I look at the board here, and I really don't love it. I was itching to take Nebraska plus 1,800. I couldn't do it because I felt like I was potentially just throwing money away. I might be kicking myself this time come Sunday, but I'm going to start off with 2 teams that are just not playing good football. And sometimes when I'm looking here, I'm like, 2 teams that are not playing good football, maybe the underdog has a chance to win. I did that last week with UAB and Southern Florida, and UAB had a real chance to win that football game. I'm doing that again here. Missouri on the road against Alabama. Plus, I think it's 400 on the dot there. Pretty stinky. Listen, man, I know Missouri's not very good. I know they struggled against a bad Auburn team. But a lot of that game was Drew Pine. And when Brady Cook came back in, he kind of jolted that team. I think Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel can get some stuff working on the ground. I was
Hopefully
impressed.
Nate Noel's healthy, by the way. I don't know what his status is, but either way, Marcus Carroll is a good running back. So
yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought was going to be the lead back coming in the year. But regardless, that's big. I like the way that they handled Jarquez Hunter, one of the better running backs in college football, especially the SEC. And we know Alabama cannot run the football right now. And now, if they can and they run the ball well and the defense plays well, this game obviously not going to happen. But I do think there's a pretty realistic chance for Missouri to get a win here.
I think so too. It's not crazy. Not crazy at all. I'm going to go over the West Coast. This is not as smelly as yours. I'm going to go Oregon State plus 310 against a team that cannot buy a win. It's California. I like California. I think they're a good football team. We've talked about them a lot on this show. We've previewed a couple games of theirs. We've taken them in the Dirty Dogs with great success. But I don't think they've won a game since I took them as a Dirty Dog. Have they won a game since the Auburn game? Yeah, they definitely have. But they've struggled the last couple weeks, particularly in the second half of games. I think Oregon State isn't a bad football team, guys. I really don't. I think they've just been caught playing a couple good teams so far. I think Jimani McCoy is pretty solid. I like Trent Bray as a coach there. Hankerson is a pretty good football player. I think they might be able. They got a chance to be able to run the ball. I think against this Cal team. If they're going to slow this game down, and Cal without potentially Jay Knott again, are you going to rely on Mendoza to not turn the ball over? And when Cal's up in this football game, are you going to rely on them to run the ball to close this game out? Because they haven't been able to close out games recently. So I'll take Oregon State plus 310.
I don't hate that. The path to victory there for a double-digit dog is absolutely there for Oregon State against California. Cal, like you said, struggling to win football games, struggling to close out football games. Winning is learned, and winning is hard, and they're finding that out. I do wonder, and what strayed me away from that game was a team, I think, well-coached, Justin Wilcox, back against the wall. That's my only concern there because they need this game. If they still want to make a bowl game, going
Yes.
forward. Moving on to mine, I'm going to the Big Ten here, and I'm going not only a dirty dog, but a smelly game in general. Northwestern at Iowa. Look away if you like offense, but if you love tough football, defense, Big Ten West, old Big Ten West games, this is for you. And I think Northwestern, the spread's around 14. I'm getting the money line plus 460 here. I don't hate that at all. Iowa, we saw last week, kind of get bodied by Michigan State for 4 quarters. That game could have been even uglier in that first half. Northwestern just kept kicking themselves in their own foot, and whatever it was, they just could not get the ball in the end zone, could not score against Wisconsin last week. I think Losh is super frisky. I think he's very fun to watch. I think Cam Porter, if he can, make some explosive plays happen. Bryce Kurtz, they've got some guys there that can make this a football game. And if you can stop Caleb Jackson, right, or Caleb Johnson, nobody has, right? Nobody has. You're going to have a chance to win this football game. Michigan State showed us that last week. Obviously, Northwestern has a tall task ahead of them. Damon Walters, Mac Uline, those guys are going to have to play well. Up the middle, their defense, Xander Mueller, play better than they potentially have as of late against the run in this football game. But I do think in terms of chances for a double-digit dog to win, right? Northwestern playing against a bad offense, right? Or at least throwing the ball offense, be one-dimensional offense, absolutely there for this to be a close game in the fourth quarter, and then for Northwestern to steal one in Iowa City.
Yeah, since they put in Jack Lausch, it's looked a lot better. Although caveat here that AJ Henning, I believe, is hurt, so he won't be playing. And he has been their better receiver of late, finally. Kind of a breakout situation for him, but unfortunately got hurt last week. But they still have other guys. It's not like it's been the AJ Henning show. It's just like, oh, it's been nice to see the productivity from the former 4-star, Yeah, I don't hate that pick at all. But I like this pick better. Central Michigan, plus 380, playing against Miami, Ohio. Here's what I like. I like teams that can run the absolute piss out of the ball. Against teams that, actually Miami Ohio's done a decent job stopping the run. Their offense, though, hasn't looked great all season. I know Central Michigan's defense is bad, but if you're going to give me a team that's playing pretty good offense for MAC standards on the road, action, stuff happens there, dude. 10-point spreads are nothing. I like Central Michigan in this spot quite a bit, actually. And Miami, Ohio, they've done a good job with most teams stopping the run, but against teams that are pretty decent running the ball, they have been susceptible to the ground. This is a low-scoring game. Not only can Central Michigan cover 12.5, I think Central Michigan can maybe sneak one out here against a team that, is definitely playing better football. They had a really tough out-of-conference slate, and an early MAC slate that they've done a pretty good job handling. And obviously Miami, Ohio is way better than their record shows, but I kind of like Central Michigan in this spot. If you're going to give me plus 380.
Don't hate that. The MAC is where 10-point favorites go to die, right? Like we've seen that time and time again. I don't hate that at all for you. Central Michigan well coached as well up there. Yeah, why not? The chip was.
Yeah, the only MAC team that we've hit on the Dirty Dogs this year was a Toledo plus 360 against Mississippi State early in the season. And surprisingly, we've only taken, this is only the third MAC team that we've taken all year. So
it's also been like now we're really getting into the MAC conference.
We're getting
schedule,
into MAC.
Now we're getting into some slate, learning a little bit more about each of these teams. So I love that for you.
So there it is. To recap for the Spotify listeners, we got Missouri plus 400 for Christopher. He also has got Northwestern plus 460 against Iowa there. Missouri's playing Alabama. Of course, I didn't mention that. Oregon State, I got for plus 310 playing against Cal on the road. And I got Central Michigan plus 380 on the road against Miami, Ohio.
I will say 4 road dogs. A little bit concerning. But we do love
that's what makes them dirty.
They
some road dogs. They some road dogs. Well, it's not like we haven't hit road dogs before in the past, although last week we did well with the home underdogs. The week before, I had Vanderbilt plus 440. That was a road dog against Kentucky. Although Lou Monroe is a home dog, JMU is a home dog. Or JMU beat North Carolina on the road, didn't they? Toledo beat Mississippi State. I think that game was on the road. California, I got plus 400 on the road. Yeah, actually, we've had some road dogs on here.